Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of the horizontal masterboard, the horizontal design style. And in this video, I'm going to be embellishing this horizontal masterboard that I made in part 1. And you'll get to see both of those two embellishments being applied to this masterboard. So I will literally wind up with 3 masterboards by the time we finish this particular video. If you haven't seen part 1, please go back and watch that, because there's lots of examples that I give, not only from my own work, but from the art world and from other crafters, junk journalists. I give a lot of examples, explain what it is, and you'll want to make sure you watch that, and then you'll see the process of how I went about making this particular masterboard. Be sure and watch that, even if you watch it out of sequence. I welcome those of you. I'm Miss Darling. We're in my design studio. Let's get to work. Okay, here's my original. And I went down and photocopied it, and I originally copied it on yellow stock, the same as I had originally used, and I lost my white stripes. Then I reprinted it on white stock so I can preserve my white stripes going across, and it also doesn't look as quite as yellow dominant on the white stock as it did on the yellow. Now we'll play around with some ideas for decorating it, and I've been playing around with some ideas to, these are too cool. When you're working with warm, I'm going to put warm on warm and cool on cool. On an 8.5 by 11 sheet, my fold line hits right about here, and I need to know that so I can stay away from it as needed when it comes to putting in my embellishments. And a nice way to check how it looks as a page for a journal, you lay a piece of white stock on top, approximately where your fold or cut line would be. Then it's easier to get an idea of what you need to do placement wise if this is to become a journal page. I really like that. I think we'll go with that. I want my height to be different from some of the lines. I don't match that up with lines below it. And then to this, I can add some smaller ephemera. For instance, I might think about Adding a stamp of some sort in there. Would it be better up here? Like that. I don't want it to be too prominent, and so it doesn't jump out at you down there, and I think we'll go with that. That's it for now on that side. And so then on the other side, what are we looking at? I think that's probably going to be quite enough just for that, but I want to make sure that this image here is properly, my edges don't look very straight. So I think I'm going to drop that right about in there, and always place your image a little above center, So that feels good to me. Just eyeballing it. And I'm going to take just a minute to kind of think about it off camera to see if there's anything else I want to do to this side, and if so, I'll be back and show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to drop this in down here. I found that I like that a lot, and I want to pull the eye down a little bit. I'm going to drop that in there, and then up here I'm not crazy about this red area right there. I don't think it adds to anything, so I cut off a section of one of the other strips. I'm going to drop that in there, and then I'm going to cut off this bottom section here and drop that in there, and I think that will make me much happier. I think that's a lot more interesting up there. Just because something is there doesn't mean you have to keep it. So if some part of your design is bothering you, change it until you're happy. And now this is going to, I'm not inking this because it's going against a dark background mostly, so I want to keep the edges light so I can get some nice contrast on the edges. And this is what we're going with. This was folded this way. It could be a 2-page double spread on the inside of a signature, or if it is folded this way, then that becomes 1 page. You'd have to do something with the inside, and then this becomes a back page, unless you cut them apart and glue them down on other pages. That's your choice. And now we have a nicely decorated photocopy of the horizontal style masterboard that I made, and I think it works very nicely. I'm very happy with pulling out some of the red and orange tones and adding a little bit more of that. It's nice and complementary to the green that we have in there, but also is analogous color scheme with yellow tones that are there as well. And I'm very happy with this, and I hope you like it. I'm going to work on photocopy number 2 and embellish it a little differently and pull out different colors. I focused on red in the previous one, and now I'm going to focus a bit on green. Here are the images that I've pulled out. This will be planned to be folded in half at the midway point, which is right about here. And I want to place my center of interest 1/3 down and then into the 2nd third. So it's going to go up in here. I want to strengthen this one a little bit, and I have this little piece of lace, black lace, that I'm going to glue on there to kind of get that edge a little more contrast, and that's going to go there. I don't mind that it's the number 3 there, and I'm going to down here put number 4. This is how that side's going to turn out. And then over here on this side, I'm going to stay in the upper quadrants but switch to the left instead of the, to the right instead of the left. And here's what I'm proposing now. I had picked out this fabric initially. I didn't care for the imagery there at the top of the 2. I don't think it's strong enough. I had first pulled out this fabric, but I'm not liking that greenish brown with the rest of it. So I'm going to instead put this black and white polka dot up there, which will really grab attention and make sure that the eye is pulled upward and before it moves down. And so this is where, approximately where that's going to lay in there. I needed to beef this up. It didn't have any border at all, so I took my black pen and gave it a rough little, about an 1/8 inch black border, and that will help that immensely. And so there's what we're going to be doing, and if you want to stick around and watch me as I go, you'll understand what I'm doing and why. I'll be starting with the number 3 first, as everything else will be overlaid on top of it. Not getting very good flow on my someone's dropping something off at my front door, I imagine. I'm starting to go a little crazy with this bell ringing as often as it does. My husband likes to sit on the bench outside when he's doing yard work, and every time he moves an arm or just breathes, the bell goes off, and I'm upstairs trying to make a video or just work, and the bell's going off constantly, and I have to run down there and find out what in the world is going on. I know I get a lot of packages, but I don't get that many. So I've had to ask him, please go somewhere else to relax. When you're doing yard work, I can't have you sitting out here sending my doorbell crazy, and me with it. So that's just going to help that with some extra contrast down there. And notice that when I glue it down, I'm not matching up the tops with any of the lines. I'm going to go above, slightly above or slightly lower. I'm not going to emphasize that horizontal line going across on the focal point as well. So that's going to drop in there, and then we'll have this coming in approximately there. I think I need to raise that up a bit. So if we come up here into the middle of that black line, gives me nice contrast with the edges of the image, and then yeah, that's better placement. I hope you're learning a lot about design and composition techniques. I've noticed that so many people don't include that as part of their training, either because they don't know it and they're just doing whatever they like and passing it on as something authoritative, or they just don't want to share that. But I think that that differentiates this channel from other channels, is I am trying to teach you design and composition techniques and strategy and styles, not just do something for you to watch from which you don't learn very much. So if you appreciate that, I would appreciate you giving the video a like and adding a comment. That would be very encouraging to me. And now I'm going to drop this number 4 in here to help balance a bit with the strength of everything being on the left side here. It's a very strong asymmetrical design, but it holds together because of the strength of the horizontal lines that go clear across the page. And again, notice I'm splitting the difference between the yellow stripe and then this image stripe just below it. And that takes care of the right side. And now we come over to the left side. And here's my center. I like to make sure I am totally aware of where that is so I don't get anything glued down across that or too close to it. So we're right about there. That's a little bit close. I'm going to come up here just a hair. This will drop in down here, followed by that. But I do have the strength of this. So because that is so strong, I maybe don't want to go quite that high with the placement of this number 2. I think I'm going to drop that back down so that this polka dot section isn't too high on the page. You know, you can draw your eye too high as well as drawing it too low. The worst thing is to be too low, because then it looks like your imagery is about to fall off the plane. But we don't want to be too high either. So what are we doing here? Oh, I thought maybe I had decided to bring that down further so that I could pull this up in here. But I'm not sure I like that. So if I move this up higher, oops, then drop that in there. I'm not 100% happy with that. Maybe this needs to come up higher, and then drop this in a little bit higher so I didn't want to cut across the 2, so maybe I need to drop that in behind the numeral 2. Yeah, that works better. And there we have that. So the fabric, and this is fabric down here, and this is also fabric. Oftentimes when you need something really dark and really bold, you need to go to fabrics, as it can be much more difficult to sometimes get what you want on paper, depending on the quality of the original and also the quality of your printer. I have found that I often have to pull out something from my fabric bin to get what I need. I think that's about where we had that going. Again, I don't want to match up to a line, but try to go slightly above or slightly below. I need this to be over, so it gives me a good 1/2 inch between the edge of this number and where the fold or cut will be. And then this is going to slip under there. So that's what I need to position next. Please be sure and check out my Etsy shop for resources that can help you not only with this project but others. And I also have links in the description box below the video to other resources. Now I want to, since this is going to wind up not being overlapped, I want to strengthen my border. I've got a bit of a yellow border that's sneaking out the sides there, and I don't want that. I want to have some decent contrast with the background. Hopefully this will give me enough. Now, because I have a lineup problem down here, I'm going to drop that a little bit lower, and then I can push this fabric up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue the fabric on to the paper so that's not scooting around, and that will help me additionally to make sure I'm getting my placement right where I want it. I'm teaching you design principles and tips, giving you tips based on established design, which is used by all industries that deal with design. But of course you can break the rules, but in order to successfully break rules you need to know what the rules are. That's why it's important to know what I'm teaching you, so you can not only make it, so it not only gives you a greater arsenal of tools to work with on your own projects, but also keeps you creatively inspired and able to play around and even incorporate more than one design style into the same project. And just because it's horizontal doesn't mean everything on the board has to be horizontal. As you can see, I'm clearly doing more vertical imagery on top of the horizontal, which takes me into both of them. But because the background is so strong, it's going to remain a horizontal masterboard and not be confused with any other style. That could be different if your masterboard is very pale and what you put on in terms of focal points and other ephemera, if that's much stronger, it could take over the masterboard and turn it into a different style. And that's, you know, that's okay too. I want to make sure this is coming down below that line and that I am squaring up nicely with where the fold will take place. And this is going to go right on the same plane as on the right side. It'll just be a different number and positioned on the left side of the page for some asymmetrical balance. And I'm quite happy with that. The only thing I'm wondering is whether I maybe should have put this in a black border, help it pop a little bit more. I don't know that I want to try that now, but maybe I do. So let me figure out how I'm going to do it safely so I don't ruin what's down there. I think I can butt this right up. I have a Faber-Castell Pitt artist pen. This has permanent black ink in it, and the bold comes with in kind of a little bit of a brush there with a pointed tip. The smaller sizes, I buy a box of 5, and so I get various sizes, and the smaller sizes have different types of points for you to work with. Yeah, I think that helps a lot. Even just doing the one side there is very helpful. And I might just, because of that, just do the bottom and make it look a little 3D. If I do all 3 sides, then you lose the 3D effect. I think I'm only going to do the 2 of the 3 sides, so I get the feeling of a 3D look there, and I think that helped it a lot. Hope you agree. And there we have our embellished second masterboard that is an offshoot from the main one, because this was all done on a copy of the main masterboard. That leaves that one intact, and I can do as many of these as I want to and still keep my main masterboard intact and free for other photocopies. I can put a whole lot more ephemera on one so that it winds up being a masterboard to be cut up. This is not one of those. I think that this is perfectly designed to either be a center double spread for the inside of a signature, or to be folded or cut this way for a page. Other ephemera are placed to do journaling, put on the opposite side, and then when you get to the back you see this. So it's versatile in that regard as to what you can do with it. By the way, I just made these 5 tags from the horizontal style masterboard that I made without any embellishments on it. I used my acrylic templates. If you don't have any acrylic templates, I have a video on how to make them yourself, so you should definitely watch that. It makes it super easy to decide what kind of composition you want for each tag, to outline them, and then just cut them out. And that's all I did. I did a little bit of extra embellishment using some of the scraps that were left over. Other than that, these tags have no embellishments on them. You'll notice that the horizontal design goes this way across some of them and then vertically on others. So you can mix them up, and then with specific embellishments that you use either from the leftovers or from your stash, you can alter them as you choose. So I just wanted to show you this example, and should wind up in my Etsy shop for anyone interested in acquiring some of the resources that I have created. So I just thought I'd show you that real quickly. Thanks for being with me for this journey into embellishing this horizontal style masterboard that I made in part 1. This has been part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, be sure and watch it. The link is in the description box below this video, so you can find it easily. And with that said, this is Miss Darling calling this a wrap. Bye.